All the Far Cry games after 3, honestly kind of trash. There, I said it. Rook Islands set the standard, and everything that followed has been trying too hard to look pretty instead of feeling dangerous. Hi, I'm Joe from Pixel Pix, and today we're taking a deep dive into why Far Cry 3 isn't just a fan favorite, it's the peak of the entire franchise. We'll also break down exactly how the sequels lost the heart, the danger, and the soul that made Far Cry 3 unforgettable. So buckle up, because we're heading straight into the jungles of chaos, insanity, and disappointment. Why Far Cry 3 still resonates. Far Cry 3 is one of those rare open-world shooters that balances freedom, chaos, atmosphere, and narrative with almost perfect precision. The world of Rook Island wasn't a static playground. It was alive, reactive, and genuinely intimidating. The environment didn't feel like a backdrop, it felt like a character. You'd parachute into the jungle, slide down cliffs, dive underwater, sneak through foliage, and every path felt like a deliberate choice. A world that does hold your hand. Exploration in Far Cry 3 remains one of the most praised aspects among players. You weren't pressured into instantly clearing outposts. You could take your time, scout with your camera, set traps, or avoid areas entirely. Every route and every approach felt meaningful. It didn't shove you toward objectives, it let you figure out how to deal with the chaos around you. Crafting with purpose. Most games use crafting as a side feature. Far Cry 3 didn't. Hunting animals wasn't decoration, it was survival. You hunted to craft syringes, ammo pouches, and gear upgrades. And because the upgrades actually mattered, hunting felt like a real part of the gameplay loop rather than a checklist item. A skill tree that actually changed the game. Far Cry 3's skill system is remembered for one reason: the skills mattered. Silent takedowns, mobility boosts, advanced takedown chains, improved crafting, everything contributed to building an actual playstyle. Unlike later entries, where skill trees often felt like number bumps or filler, Far Cry 3 gave you abilities that changed how you approached every mission. Liberating outposts felt like real progress. Every outpost you liberated felt earned. It wasn't just clearing a map marker. It felt like reclaiming the island, taking power away from pirates, and giving yourself more control. Outpost liberation was one of the game's strongest loops, and it's still one of the most replayed features today. True emergent gameplay. One of Far Cry 3's greatest strengths is the way it constantly throws unexpected moments at you. You're hunting a wild boar and suddenly a patrol rolls up. You set a distraction and wildlife attacks the guards for you. These emergent events made the island feel unpredictable. No two missions played out the same, and that kept the tension alive. Vaas, the villain that defined the franchise. Before we go any deeper, if you're actually enjoying this breakdown, hit that subscribe button. I'm pushing toward 1,000 subscribers, and your support is what lets me keep dropping more videos like this. If you ask any Far Cry fan why Far Cry 3 is iconic, Vaas will always be one of the first answers. He isn't just a villain, he's a presence. Michael Mando's performance elevated Vaas into something unforgettable. Every line felt dangerous. Every conversation felt personal. He doesn't just threaten Jason, he breaks him down mentally. The definition of insanity speech became a cultural moment, and it wasn't just because of the delivery. It perfectly captured who Vaas was: philosophical, twisted, and terrifying.
Did I ever tell you what the definition of insanity is? Insanity is doing the exact same fucking thing over and over again, expecting shit to change. That is crazy. But the first time somebody told me that, I don't know, I thought they were bullshitting me, so boom, I shot him. The thing is, okay, he was right.
Vaas is unpredictable. He toys with Jason. He spares him not out of mercy, but because he enjoys the psychological torture. A villain who mirrors the protagonist. Narratively, Vaas works because he reflects the darker side of Jason's journey. Far Cry 3 isn't just about escaping an island, it's about Jason transforming into something more dangerous. Vaas forces Jason and the player to confront the thin line between heroism and savagery. No other Far Cry villain has matched that emotional depth or narrative power. Gameplay freedom and design philosophy. Far Cry 3's mechanics are designed around freedom, but they never sacrifice tension. Everything you do feels risky, intentional, and reactive. Stealth or chaos, both feel viable. Some games accidentally encourage one playstyle over the other. Far Cry 3 doesn't. If you want to clear a camp silently with takedowns and bow shots, it feels great. If you want to glide in, throw grenades, and ignite the place in an explosion of madness, the game supports that too. The AI, terrain, and layout of outposts make both stealth and chaos feel natural and rewarding. Traversal that feels like adventure. Far Cry 3 gives you gliders, jet skis, boats, cars, swimming and diving routes, cliffs, and vertical terrain. Movement becomes part of the experience. You're not just going from point A to point B, you're exploring. Combat that feels alive. Enemies react dynamically. If you hide, they search. If you cause a distraction, they investigate. If wildlife appears, everyone reacts. This makes even basic encounters feel unpredictable and exciting. Survival elements with weight. Ammo isn't infinite, crafting resources matter. Stealth requires planning. Combat punishes you if you charge in unprepared. These small but important limitations keep tension high. World building and atmosphere. Far Cry 3's world is more than a setting, it's a mood. The island's design, soundscape, ecosystem, and secrets make exploration addictive. Environmental storytelling everywhere. Tribal ruins, pirate camps, abandoned bunkers, caves, temples, everything tells a fragment of the island's history. You don't need cutscenes to understand what happened. The world itself tells the story. Day and night cycle that matters. Nighttime isn't just a visual change, it affects gameplay. Guards behave differently. Wildlife behaves differently. Visibility changes. Your strategy shifts depending on the time of day. Whether that adds real tension. Storms make stealth harder. Rain changes visibility and atmosphere. Lightning creates dramatic moments during combat. A real ecosystem. Predators, prey, and environmental triggers interact constantly. Sharks in the water, leopards in the jungle, Komodo dragons near camps. The wildlife isn't just set dressing. Sound design that pulls you in. The jungle ambience, distant gunfire, animal calls, and music cues blend together to form one of the most immersive open-world soundscapes in gaming. What went wrong after Far Cry 3? The sequels didn't fail completely. They're fun games, but they lost the identity that made Far Cry 3 special. Here's how. Far Cry 4, pretty but shallow. Far Cry 4 recycled much of Far Cry 3's formula, but stripped away the soul. A villain without the bite. Pagan Min is charismatic, but he lacks Vaas' raw intensity. He feels more stylish than dangerous. A beautiful but less personal world. The Himalayas look stunning, but they lack the threatening presence of Rook Island. The environment becomes scenery rather than story. Removed player choice potential. There was originally a system where you could give outposts back to Pagan Min if you sympathized with him, meaning deeper choice and narrative flexibility. Ubisoft removed it, and the game suffered for it. Far Cry 5, chaos over substance. Far Cry 5 made a bold tonal shift into goofy sandbox territory. Some players loved it, but many felt the tension and grounding of earlier games was gone. Weak AI and missions. Players consistently complained about repetitive missions and weak AI. The world felt large but hollow. Silent protagonist problem. Removing the protagonist's voice stripped away emotional investment and character development. After the depth of Jason's arc in Far Cry 3, this felt like a major step back. Busywork side content. Side missions became checklist tasks. Exploration felt less meaningful and more like map clearing. Far Cry 6, bigger but not better. Far Cry 6 aimed for scale, but the size came at the cost of depth. A massive but empty world. Yara looks good, but the world lacks the danger and storytelling layers that defined Far Cry 3. A villain who looks the part, but doesn't hit emotionally. Giancarlo Esposito is an incredible actor, but Anton Castillo never delivers the same psychological impact as Vaas. Gimmicky mechanics. Supremo backpacks and gadget-based combat feel like features added for flair rather than meaningful evolution. Scripted encounters over emergence. The world is full of scripted events instead of unpredictable, emergent chaos. Community opinions. Across Reddit, forums, and YouTube, fans say the same things. Far Cry 3 has soul. The newer games feel polished but empty. Players miss danger, unpredictability, and emotional storytelling. Far Cry 3 is more immersive and reactive. Far Cry 5 has better gameplay feel but weaker story. Far Cry 6 is entertaining but lacks depth. One fan summarized it clearly: if we had Far Cry 5's gameplay with Far Cry 3's story, it would be the perfect Far Cry. How Ubisoft can bring back the magic. If the series is going to reclaim its identity, here's what needs to return. Villains with emotional weight, worlds that react dynamically, emergent gameplay instead of scripted loops, exploration that feels dangerous, wildlife and environment that matter, meaningful character arcs, player decisions that affect the world, and mechanics that serve the game's theme. Conclusion. Far Cry 3 isn't loved because of nostalgia. It's loved because it did everything right: open world design, tension, narrative, characters, exploration, and emergent gameplay. The sequels grew visually but shrank emotionally. They became bigger but less alive. The Far Cry community has been saying the same thing for years: bring back the danger, bring back the soul, bring back what made Rook Island unforgettable. So what do you think? Did Far Cry really peak at 3, or do you think the later games improved? If you want more deep dive, honest takes on gaming, subscribe to Pixel Pix.